Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee with the Callers. I'm Father James, along with
Father Doug.
And here we are on this Friday, coming toward the end of the Christmas season. So we've made it through the barrage of Christmas activities, Christmas parties, penance service, decorations, Christmas masses. We celebrated Mary, Mother of God, the solemnity, and now here we are.
Having our coffee.
Having our coffee, enjoying a well-deserved respite. I may or may not be in Spain right now, but what's most important is that we're here with you for this Coffee with the Callers. So, Padres, someone came up to me recently and asked the question, I think it might have had to do with Marian doctrine, is do Catholics invent doctrine? Does the Catholic Church invent doctrine? So we thought it would be a worthy conversation to have with you today about this kind of deep theological reality of our experience as Christians. So, Padre, talk to us a little bit about how doctrine develops over and against the unchanging dogmas of the Church.
Yeah, it's a good question. So this comes up sometimes because people either accuse the Catholic Church of changing the doctrines of primitive Christianity to make it something different, or they just have the experience of saying, well, you know, there's things that are talked about in Catholic theology, like the Immaculate Conception, and I don't see the words Immaculate Conception in the New Testament. So did you add that in, or whatever? People have those questions. So I think the first thing to say, of course, is that Catholicism is a revealed religion. That means that we hold these things to be true, not because we think those things sound nice, not because we invented those things in our own philosophy or our own imagination or our own culture. We hold these things to be true because we believe that God has revealed them to us.
And not even because we fully understand them in some cases.
Of course not. No, we can't fully understand. In fact, that's part of the notion of a mystery. So we hold these things to be true because God has told them to us. And the Church teaches that after the time of the apostles, the public revelation of God came to an end, so that we don't think that we're continually receiving like new parts of our public revelation.
There's no new dogma. There's no new revelation.
No new revelation coming after the time of the apostles. So as opposed to up to that time, there were more prophets coming. They were explaining more, all the way culminating in Jesus Christ and the apostles, and that'd be the end of the public revelation. So how do you account for the fact that we have phrases and things like that aren't in the New Testament? This gets us into the subject of what's called in theology the development of dogma. So the dogmas don't change. What God revealed to us doesn't change. Our job is not to change it or to improve on it. It's to hold on to it and faithfully preserve it. But while they don't change and while we don't add to it or subtract from it, what happens is that our understanding of the revelation of God deepens as time goes on. Development can happen in different ways. Like one way is that what we've always believed and we've said using kind of less exact and precise language. We come to say in more precise language. So a great example of that is the doctrine of the Incarnation. Christians have always believed that God became man. And it says it right there in the Gospel of St. John, the Word became flesh. But as you know, if you know about the history of the church, that phrase had to be explained and defended and built out against all kinds of false interpretations of it. And so that now we might say a formula like, the second person of the Most Holy Trinity assumed a human nature for our salvation. That means the same thing as the Word became flesh, but it's now put forward with a more precise explanation.
Sure. And this would have happened, like, for example, in the councils. Like, we know that we had the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s, and that was a meeting of all the bishops of the world and the Pope to come together to, again, discern more deeply what is true. Not to come together and invent new truths, but to come together and try to re-articulate or more precisely articulate, or in a deeper way to articulate what God has already revealed. So throughout the history of the church, there have been councils from the very beginning, the 2nd century, 3rd century, 5th century, 7th century, and these councils have come together with the bishops and the Pope to not invent new doctrine, but to clarify the doctrine that is, and as Father Doug said, to combat any misunderstanding of that revealed truth from God. And so I think this is a beautiful way that God continues to strengthen this revelation that He's given us through our own cooperation. God just doesn't say, this is it, you have to believe it as I tell you. No, he says, I want you to work with it, wrestle with it, grapple with it, learn more about it, talk about it, articulate it. But that doesn't mean that it's anything new. It's just that we need time to really come to grips with the depth of these truths.
I think we get kind of an analogy in the kind of natural order. Any kind of really profound philosophy or piece of literature, you don't ordinarily expect that you're going to read it once and then understand everything there is to understand about it. It's like the mark of great works of literature that you can read them again and again and again and again, and every time you understand it more profoundly than you did before. So how much more would it be the case that if God has given us his revelation, it's going to repay our constant study, our constant prayer, our constant reflection with deeper and deeper understanding to go further and further into the mystery.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Father Doug. It's kind of like Christmas. We come back to Christmas year after year after year, and maybe this year you have kind of seen something new. It's not new to God because everything is in God. It's just that every year it's like one more layer gets taken off, and we're able to see a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper into the truth of God. And this happens to us as people. So like what Father Doug was talking about with literature, going back and reading the same story over and over again, it's the same with our encounter with God through the beautiful traditions of our doctrine and the beautiful traditions of our church.
So as we've talked a little bit today about how the church continues to meditate on the Word of God and proclaim it, that can be an invitation for us, I think, to make that a part of our own individual Christian lives as well, to see that in this precious Word of God that's been given to us, there are inexhaustible riches, and to accept his invitation to keep stretching out our minds to it in faith so that we come to a deeper and a deeper understanding. We thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you on Sunday.
And man, we are kind of in rest mode right now.
That's right.
We've just finished the onslaught.
The Christmas onslaught.
Oh, that's just the wrong word. Let's start all over again. I was going to say.
Probably.
Christmas beatdown. Dude, I've just been eating fruit.
We just can't handle it
I've been
anymore.
eating fruitcake for weeks.
All right.
3, 2. Oh, by the way, if anybody sees this Coffee with the Collars, they may say this is ridiculous. Father James is in Spain right now. Because I'm going to be in Spain when this airs. They're going to say, well, that's absurd. We've gotten through Christmas Day, and we've gotten through the Feast of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. No.
Mother of God.
That too. 3, 2, and 1.